And here's a great quote by Rupert Spira. The mind, the body, and the world are made out of consciousness, but consciousness is not made out of them. So consciousness is not made out of the elements, the ions, the salts. It's not made out of the carbon. Consciousness is not made out of the elements, but we perceive the elements as something different for a temporary time. Consciousness is made out of itself. Therefore, everything is made only out of consciousness. Replace the word consciousness with Allah and it makes sense. The mind, the body, and the world are made out of Allah. But Allah is not made out of them. It is made out of itself. Allah is itself. That's it. Therefore, everything is made only out of Allah. There you go. That's in the Quran. Everything is made out of Allah. And those that do conscious good acts and deeds rejoin back with Allah. Those that do not do good conscious acts and deed and do evil and hate and terrible things on this earth do not rejoin with Allah. It's simple. It's actually simple. Once you realize it, you realize what we are here to do. We are here to find our way back home, to find our way back to heaven. You do it by deeds. Faith helps because you first have to believe in the messages that tell you do good acts and deeds. But it is not just belief. It is actions because you are energetic and you are affecting the energetic world around you to perceive the reality that exists around you and to experience the world in the way that you wish to perceive as a good soul. And then when you die, you go back to the bliss that you created, you helped create as part of the collective consciousness. Here's Carl Jung, one of my favorites. He actually helped create the Myers-Briggs personality. So if any of you are very interested in psychology, in that kind of way of understanding the self, you might want to look into Carl Jung. Self-reflection, or what comes to the same thing, the urge to individuation, gathers together what is scattered and multifarious and exalts it to the original of the one, the primordial man. This is the man before man became man. So this is Adam's state in Eden before he came to the material world. In this way, our existence as separate beings, our former ego nature, is abolished. The circle of consciousness is widened, and because the paradoxes have been made conscious, the sources of conflict are dried up. There would be no war. There would be no suffering. We would see a world that you can only imagine if everybody was conscious of their truer nature and what they are connected to and what their energy actually can do when they put forth good acts and deeds. It's not just trivial nonsense to do kind acts and good deeds. In affecting another with your kind act and deed, you are creating an actual ripple in the fabric of time and space. They then will be inspired within their consciousness. It makes them remember who they are. It gets them in touch with love, and they will create also another act of ripple of in time and space of creating some kind of act of kindness and goodness, because they'll remember your deed towards them. And we are inspirational towards each other. This is why teachers are even here in a sense. This is why people become teachers as they awaken and they want to help others. This is why angels are said to help humans. We are all here to connect to one another and to inspire one another and to help each other get back home. To get back home to the state of understanding our power within the world. We are no longer victims of others. We are powerful, and we can choose to do good and kind things, while others may choose in their unconscious states to do evil. Here is a wonderful quote by Gary Douglas by Access Consciousness. Here he says, "What would it be like if the world were a more conscious place? Would the devastation, wars, and difficulties that are going on now continue to exist? In the face of consciousness, these things cannot exist." This is what people are awakening to, is understanding that there is a wall between those that keep doing harmful acts, keep causing devastation and chaos in the world. They are not awakened to their truer state. They do not see the unity with others. They only see their own ego needs. I need money, I'm going to steal. I'm going to exact revenge on my brother, so I'm going to shoot this other guy's son. That's what happened actually in our city yesterday. A person got out of a sedan van, shot a little boy on a bike. That tells you that's gang mentality. The idea that those gang members are stuck in their ego identity. It's me, it's me, it's me. My brother was killed by this person. They're not thinking of the outside world. They're not thinking of higher states of consciousness. When everybody becomes conscious themselves, this is going to stop some of the destruction and chaos that you see on earth. It can stop. I do not believe that we have to keep on letting evil and darkness and chaos exist. I believe that it can be educated out of people. I truly do. It won't be forced. It won't be removed by drugs. It will be educated and inspired out of people. Yes, I agree with Malala. It is about education and inspiration to show people where they really came from and what we really are part of as the collective consciousness together, in this together. We are in this together. People do not remember that. It is not your separate little world. We are together in this, changing reality together. Or at least have the power to do it. Here is an amazing quote by Paramaharsa Yogananda. "If religion means primarily God consciousness, or the realization of God both within and without, and secondarily a body of beliefs, tenets, and dogmas, then strictly speaking, there is but one religion in the world, for there is but one God." Religion is a tool. It was a tool to know oneself. This is why Jesus was a catalyst for the world as a soul, part of the consciousness that wanted to start a church. And then Muhammad was a part of the consciousness that was a catalyst for the Arab nation. And you have Arjuna, who was a catalyst for the part of the consciousness that was a catalyst for the Indian nation. The Koran says this, that every single messenger, every single prophet has been from the same source. This is Islam. Islam was teaching about the one state of consciousness. But it's hard to know that unless you really can strip away the custom and cultures of the Arab nation. You have to go deeper beyond culture and customs. And people have, and that's why Islam has spread in other parts of the world. But some people who are stuck in their own identity, they will see only the ego identity of others. This is what causes a problem. This is why the non-Muslim Western mind that might be Christian or of another faith or agnostic or atheist, if they are not open, if they are stuck in their own ego identity, when they read the Quran, when they see Muslims, they will only assume and judge and they will not know the higher mind that connects to all things and will not see the messages that connects to all things. Boy, Americans really love to pass on Rumi's quotes, and I would love to tell them Rumi was an Islamic scholar. He revered the Koran, and he even said that he was the dust upon Muhammad's feet. So while people love Rumi, they think Muhammad was a pedophile and a terrible person. It doesn't make any sense. People have to really get past their own egos and preconceived judgments and assumptions and see the truer reality that exists. And the way that you see their truer reality is by taking in many different perspectives and analyzing what's really then real. Does it make sense that Muhammad was a terrible person and now we have Islam all over the world as a major religion? No, a terrible person would never be able to start a religion and keep it going and create such love inside of Muslims' hearts for this prophet. There'd be no way. The non-Muslims who are in their ego identity need to start to see that truer reality. And you could do that by reading a lot of Rumi. I love Rumi, and I'm so happy that many Americans that are non-Muslim really like Rumi. And if they actually really looked into his life, they would see he is a Muslim. He is exactly the example of how Islam could be a religion of peace. So here we have it. Those who are pure in heart achieve God consciousness. They are truly and actually aware of God at the center of their being, their heart. These sanctified individuals are said to be possessors of the heart, capital H. So then they become filled with wisdom and they can tap into the universal consciousness because their heart and their mind is open. This happened to me a few years ago, and it is part of my journey and awakening. I now want to pass that on to you, so you can experience the great bliss and joy that I am experiencing and tapping into the universal consciousness, not equaling the souls that are unconscious in their states of being. They are not technically part of the universal consciousness yet because they are shut off from it. They're doing only what they want to do, and they are only experiencing what they want to experience. So they're killing, they're harming, they're ridiculing, they're mocking, they're insulting, they're acting immature. And that's what an unconscious mind does. But a conscious mind acts good and kind and looks at others with a smile on their face and looks at others with friendship in their heart and wants to love others and is open to it. And they are not bogged down by experiences that may have and cause them some kind of, hurt inside. They get past all of that. They're past it. They're past their child abuse. They're past growing up with an alcoholic mother. They're past it all. They're past being raped at a young age. They're past it all. They realize the body is not real in the sense that it's not the only thing, that it's your consciousness, and no one can touch that. No one can touch your spirit, your consciousness, your soul. That is yours alone. And you have all the power in the universe to experience what you truly wish to experience and to enjoy life if you truly want to enjoy life. Here is a great quote. I don't know who this is from, but I saw it and I just think it's amazing. God is consciousness, not a creator. God is a source of creation itself. So we need to stop thinking about a creator as like a human would create a robot. We have to stop thinking of God as like a physical source that creates another physical source. We need to start thinking of God as a consciousness, as energy, as a force that cannot be recognized right now by our material world that we're perceiving, but you can tap into with your own consciousness through the jugular vein up to the brain. This is why Allah is closer to you than your jugular vein. It, not he or she, because there's no personality with Allah, it is not independent of you. It is the totality of everything. So when I call myself God, I'm not talking about my personal self anymore. Not talking about me, not talking about me who loves dogs, me who loves, Tolkien and feels resonating with the elves, not me who's married, not me who's, not me, but actually, truly, all of us, in the sense that it goes beyond your personal self. I am talking about the expression of the God self that rests inside of me. So when they talk about the Holy Spirit in the Quran and in the Bible, the Holy Spirit inside of Jesus was the consciousness state, the awakened, aware consciousness state. So the energy that rests inside, the verb, the energy, not the noun. Once you think God is a noun, a person, place, or thing, you separate yourself from it and immediately become a limited being. And that's what separates the believers, religious, from the knowers, spiritual. It is always strange how there are some people that are very religious and they take to heart, every word that the Bible or the Quran say, but they forget about the part that constantly talks about, well, heaven is the kingdom within. Allah is within. Allah knows everything about you. Allah knows the ultimate truth of everything you do. It's like they separate that part because they have the veil of ego still on. So they're still stuck in, I'm a born Christian, I'm a born Muslim, I'm a born Jew, and I am devout and I go to church, or I go to a mosque and I do this and I live my life and I love God, but they don't want to actually peel away the veil and see that they are part of this collective consciousness called God, that they are experiencing their life subjectively in order to perceive, to experience, to connect, to love, to learn, and to make friends with other aspects of itself, and to just experience itself as something beyond void and oneness. So there is a way that religion and spirituality can connect, and it is through the idea of quantum physics. There's been some professors of quantum physics. Amit Goswami is really good in the sense that he's a Hindu, or at least he adheres to some of the Hindu beliefs. So he believes in a Godhead, he believes in God, and he writes about God in his books, but he's also a quantum physics professor as well. He's very much aware that the religious nature of worship, of devotion to an outside source, can connect to the spiritual, where you are in tune with the inside source of you. And together that actually makes a whole person. And when you pray, you're not praying to yourself. You're not praying to ego. When a person prays, they're saying, Dear Allah, or, God, please help. Please help our world. Please help this person. Please help this person. Please help me. And what you really are doing is you're tapping into the universal collective consciousness of everything that is awake and aware. And you're sending out ripples into time and space. You're sending out the energy thoughts that you actually want to create change. A prayer is an affirmation or a declaration of saying, I want to create change. I see something wrong. My fellow being is hurting. I want to send a prayer out and a healing to them. That is what you are doing when you pray. You are actually sending out another version of energy out that affects the ripple of time and space. So it's not just your physical acts and kind deeds, but prayer actually helps too, because thoughts and your hands are made up of the same thing, energy. It's all one. So whether you do something with your hands and you go and donate time at a soup kitchen, or whether you do something with your mind and think of somebody outside of your ego self and you want to truly help them, this is how you are getting in touch with your God consciousness self. You are praying, you are stating a declaration of, I am going to help this person. You don't know it. If in your ego identity, you don't not know that you have that power. But you are already having that power when you create that prayer. You are already doing that for another person and for yourself. Last image I want to show you is this idea of the universe. So the universe, Rumi liked to say this too, the universe is inside of you and it's outside of you as well. So when you look into this, up into the sky at the stars, you must know that you are actually made of stars. You are made of that. But you are also yourself in a human body. And there are a lot of amazing correlations between the universe in space and the universe in the body. And this is basically the start of a nucleus, and then you have the start of an entire galaxy. So there you start to see that the universe reflects our inner body as well. Do not just think that this is the only video that you'll watch and can awaken you. It's going to take some time. Read a lot of books on quantum physics. If you're really truly connecting to seeing everything in the universal consciousness of all things and really tapping into the truer reality of nature, of existence, and if you really just want to love others, you want to stop being so annoyed with others, you want to stop hating others, you want to heal within, you want to heal from the past experiences of others that were unconscious, that did something to you, go into quantum physics. Look at the world of what matter is really made of. And this is what's going to really help you understand what truly Allah is and what the Quran was really suggesting. And in the end, when the verses get very intense and talk about the ending of the universe, it will be as one hand folded the universe into the other hand. All stars and planets slip away, all the mountains crumble, and we may experience a physical destruction. We may experience volcanoes erupting. We may experience a comet smashing into the earth. We may experience the physical destruction, but know that that's just a perception of the physical. But really what's happening is the consciousness, the universal consciousness, eye is closing. And it's sleeping. And it goes into a state of reflection. And then once again, as the Quran says, we will create again and again. That is the greatest promise. Then the eye of the universal consciousness mind opens up again. And reality happens once again. All subjects in the universe will be able to perceive through the consciousness of the collective mind. And there is only one source. There's only one God. There's only one source of energy and consciousness in the universe. And that's why that people are tapping into the idea that God is one and that we are one. Everything is one. Now, my next video is going to go into the idea of what happens to you in your actual personal life when you are in this awakened state. I have more examples and experience to talk about because it may be not what you think would happen. For a long time, I thought that if I awakened into the state, if I actually admitted to myself, it'd be the end of my existence and I would die. It's not true at all. So stay tuned for the next video. Salam to you all.